Yep.
There you go. Welcome to episode 92 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast. All right, my name is John DeConti, sitting in for Karl, and we are, as always, powered by the Eastern Observer. Go to easternobserver.com and follow us on Facebook. Thank you to those watching along and listening on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, our iHeartRadio, and our newest platform, Odyssey. John Smith will be joining us in a little. Batting leadoff this week is our friend Gary. Gary, how are things on the Emerald Isle this lovely evening?
They're doing well, although, as I did say to you, as an admission of my, I don't know whether it's old age or else overworked. I'm not sure, or both. As I said to you, it was funny that I was waiting to come in and then suddenly realised I'd fallen asleep. I was like, no, and then to run about. But we're here. I'm being powered by the Eastern Observer and the juice that's in it, so we'll get there.
Absolutely. This week headlines: a former UK women's champ hounds the current 2.0 women's champ until she gets what she wants. There's a new champion in Impact Wrestling with a new attitude. There's a whole lot of she said and she said going on in Smackdown. We'll make our picks for this week's matches, presented as always by Minutes to Bell Time and sponsored by Pro Wrestling Pick'em. Play against your friends, play against the universe. And we will main event the show with all the goings on in AEW, including this week's World Championship battle. It's a Texas death match in New Jersey. But we kick off the show this week the street fight from week's NXT UK Women's Championship battle. Gary, break this one down for us. An unfortunate ending for what was a really fun match for less than about 10 minutes, but what'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I did think it was funny saying there you're going to have a Texas death match in New Jersey and we had a Japanese street fight in London, but it's kind of sounds like some sort of random 1980s comedy film, a Japanese street fight in London. But however, no, it was great, and it was, as you said, there was a lot of beating each other and stuff coming out and hitting each other with chains that had come out from underneath the ring and hitting each other with anything they can. And obviously it was a singing the cane and stuff had come out, and Davenport was using it for she's actually for STF and had Satomura in a lot of trouble, and a lot of kicks, a lot of beating, a lot of hard hitting, a very sort of almost Japanese style match. I know that sounds silly given it was a Japanese street fight, but a lot of hard hitting, a lot of strong style stuff. And then right at the end, and we were saying this, we had Mako Satomura sort of hanging over the ring rope on the outside, towards the outside of the apron. And Davenport comes off the top rope with a double foot stomp to the back. And as she hit it, then Blair Davenport starts to scream, and I couldn't understand what was happening. And then all of a sudden, as we said, we had the referee in front of the camera doing the X sign. And as you said, it kind of made that look of going, is this real or is it not? Like, what's happening? Until they showed the replay, and poor Blair had really rolled her ankle and is obviously now in a boot, in a cast. So as you said, it went 9 minutes. I do, in my heart of hearts, think that we were going to head towards a title change. Obviously, there were no fans there, so they could have kept it quiet. But unfortunately, the match that was building up to be really good just ended up being pretty good. So,
yeah. We don't know how much longer they probably that they plan to go. but we were getting a heck of a match. Like you said, there probably was going to be a title change. What a shame that it didn't come to fruition because of just a freak accident, a bad landing by Blair on her way to the ground there. And like you said, it didn't look like she was not the worst of it until we saw the replay. But a shame. I'm sure they'll revisit that down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's like,
go ahead, sir.
With the tag match earlier on, obviously, as you said, which got like 12 and a half minutes, and we'll come to later on. But I mean, they had just been going for just over 9. And so you do have to think that, I'll maybe not say there was another 9, but there was certainly at least another 6-7 minutes, if not more, that was due to come, and all of a sudden was entirely cut short. So as you said, we'll come back to it. We'll circle back around to it at some point. They'll get together, I would imagine, again down the line.
Yeah, those two, they seem to work very well together. The storyline is it's pre-written. They've got history. It really works. And assuming Mako sticks around, which heck, why shouldn't she? I'm sure we'll get back to it. But as you mentioned, the show kicked off with Mustache Mountain. They made their way to ringside to join commentary to watch to see who was going to be their next number 1 contender. Tell us what came out of this one.
This surprised me. Although I had picked Carter and Smith, I thought who were going to come through. The big thing that seemed to come out of it was tension between Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff as we went through, because there's been a lot of big moves in the slingshot shoulder block. It's hard to say that. Imagine if I'd been drinking, that would be even worse. Trying to get that one put out, but there've been a lot of things like going on, a lot big moves back and forth. But obviously, coming to one point that, as Dave Mastiff had them really ready and was set for the moves, Stars was demanding to be tagged in. Was really for no reason was demanding to be tagged in, and Mastiff didn't do it. But when he then went for into the void, into the corner, Ashton Smith moved and Mastiff missed it, and then obviously through some stuff they came in and they hit the assisted moonsault for the pin, and so Jack Stars obviously then blocked from making the tag. So it looks to me probably as if Jack Stars is going to end up turning at some point here on Big Dave, but say Carter and Smith with the win, and them against Mustache Mountain should be a really good athletic match, more of an athletic match, a different style of match than you would have had with had Stars and Mastiff won. But
absolutely, yeah. And Mastiff just kind of going over to Stars and going, "Don't worry, I've got this." It's like, gee, a little man in his place, and then it backfired on him. But like you said, Smith and Carter versus Mustache Mountain will certainly be a heck of a match, because Smith and Carter those two can really go.
Yeah.
So moving along, we had a little video package with A Kid. Now, let me get this right. He's eventually going to fight Saxton Huxley, but right now he's trying to help him become a better gentleman, or he's trying to civilize him, basically.
Yeah, I've seen it somewhere listed that the match is taking place next week. Now, I don't know if it is, to be honest. I think there's more of these etiquette vignettes, the videos kind of to come. I didn't like it at all, I have to say. I know I'm not a Saxon fan at all, but to see A Kid kind of being reduced, and I don't know whether it was the cheesy music in the background, I don't know what it was. I think it pulled A Kid down slightly rather than move Saxon Huxley up. But as you say, there seem to be more of these to come, and maybe, to be fair, maybe I'll end up with a change of character for Saxon, and then I'll grow to like him and grow to appreciate him, because I mean, I do like there's other ones that I do like now in the brand that I didn't like before. So hopefully something will come out of it. But
good stuff. Yeah, hopefully we at least get a couple of chuckles out of it, and then we eventually get a good match, because both of them are. We know A Kid is amazing in the ring, and Huxley, from what little I've seen of him, certainly seems to be able to take care of himself.
Yeah.
Nathan Frazier, your buddy there, the country western singer. He's on his way to his car. He's being interviewed. He can't get his start. And obviously we figure out why, because he's about to get jumped. He gets jumped by Di Familia. They teach him a lesson for disrespecting them last week. And that leads us to a match this week. Nathan Frazier is going to take on Tio-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming. I actually almost wondered whether it would be one of these things that he went through a couple of other ones first to get there. But they're going straight to Nathan Frazier against Tio-Man. I could see it ending up in some sort of schmoz and some sort of 3-on-1, and they beat him down again. And then somebody comes to his aid. I'm not sure who, but somebody comes and backs him. So I am going for a change. I'm actually going to say there will be a DQ in this rather than do it. So Nathan Frazier to win by DQ, I think, in this one. But say it's great to see. It is great to see. I do think as a three, I was going to say as a threesome, it's probably the wrong way to put it. As a group of three, let's say, Di Familia are a great package. They really are good. Like a great just band of wrestlers. They all bring different things to it, to the group. And I do think they're going to put a lot more stock behind them as they go forward. So
so this may wrap up quicker than we expected, because said Frazier might the rounds through the whole group, but if you're going to start with Tio-Man, unless a 6-man tag comes out of it, who knows where we go from there.
Yeah. Although we obviously have had Nathan Frazier. I mean, like the ones who have kind of been going at Charlie Dempsey and saying they're only using you, mate. So it's not say it's building to that match, which if it does, it would be amazing. But or whether it's then going to have some trying to get a Charlie Dempsey face turn down the line, I'm not sure. But something will come out of it.
Yeah. Something will come out of it, and when it gets between the ropes, we know it's going to be good. So we're all buckled in and waiting for that. The third match, it was in the middle of the card, but the third one we'll get to talking about here. It was a quickie, but it was your girl, Myla Grace and Isla Dawn.
I don't care that she lost. No, I honestly didn't realize that she was on it. I've been looking to see what was happening, and just before it started, I had seen, I think it was one of the referees, as a Chris Sharp had sent out here's what's happening tonight. I was like, oh flip, Myla Grace is on it again. So it was quite quick. She got a little bit of offense in. Obviously, Isla Dawn, was over, hit the swinging side slam in 3 minutes precisely, I think, near enough, and beat her. But again, it is while, and Isla Dawn's great, and I love to see her getting a push. But it was great for me as well to see Myla getting some more opportunities there. So hopefully in the future we'll keep bigger things will happen for her. So
yeah. I mean, she's in that spot right now where people are good, continues to do that. She'll get a little more time every time, and then eventually she gets her own storyline where she gets to put some wins together. So looking forward to that.
Because that's what happened with Amal afterwards. And stuff. I mean, it's the exact same. So.
Yeah. Speaking of which, she was being interviewed backstage right after that match when she was interrupted by Nina Samuels, and the two of them don't seem to get along. So they're going to take their take their differences to the ring this week. Who you got in this one, Amal and Nina Samuels?
I would say Amal. Actually, I think Nina Samuels is one of those characters. I'll not say like The Miz, but she's one of those characters that she can lose and she's okay, and it doesn't really matter. And she'll just come out of it and still be, no, I'm still the biggest star. I'm Nina Samuels, so she can still do that. So I do think that this is set up to give Amal a win and keep pushing her slightly further up the card. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, you don't want to make a 1-to-1 comparison with The Miz, but she does work the mic really well, and no one really cares because she'll go off on some rant and you'll want to see her get her butt kicked again anyway. So it's very easy to put her into that next program. Yeah. So we had Sam Gradwell backstage. He knows people don't like him much, but at least he's not a cockroach. So now they made it kind of feel like this match was coming this week, but they didn't actually announce it. So at some point in time, he's going to get together with Kenny Williams. I'm not familiar with Gradwell or Williams, other than listening to Huxley repeat Kenny Cockroach ad nauseum for like what seemed like 3 straight weeks. But I think this one when these two get together.
I think it'll be great. Sam Gradwell is the one. When I talked about Huxley earlier on, Sam Gradwell's the one I turned the corner on. I didn't see that he served any purpose in NXT about a year ago. I didn't see what he brought to the program, and then he pushed himself. He came back from his injury. He has really knuckled down. He's in great shape. He is a really good wrestler. And while I could do without him calling people a yogurt, to be fair, he really is. He's good. And Kenny Williams is great. Now, Al and I would say, I don't know why he ever shaved his beard off, which is a long story, but he is good, and he is a really good sort of sleazy, smarmy character. So I think when they get together in the ring, it will be a really, really good match. It'll be one of those sleeper matches that people won't necessarily expect to be as good as it will be.
Yeah. And our last bit of news over there in the UK, and this is, I'm sure this would have been the headline for Al, is that Noam Dar and the Supernova Sessions has been extended for a 2nd season. And Dar is very, very excited. But Joe Coffey wants a piece of him, and he's willing to come on the show to talk. But Noam Dar has his first guest booked for season 2. And that's your guy, Jordan Devlin. Do you think that's going to lead to an alliance between the two of them, or will they end up butting heads and we get what would be a fantastic match between Dar and Devlin?
I think I could see it being an alliance of sorts at the start, but they're both so hard-headed as characters, and Devlin will just be eventually like, I can't be bothered taking this from you anymore, and then turn because I do think that there's mileage in a Noam Dar face turn down the line. And the one thing I'll say, and I've said it to Al before, and I mean it, every time there's a Supernova Sessions, it's one of those things that I know we call it like must see, but it really is, because something happens that's major within the brand, and it's never just, oh yeah, he can talk, so put him on for the sake of it. So it really will be, it'll be something to see. I think it will probably end up with a 6-man with like Devlin and Samuels and Dar against all of Gallus at some point. But I could see down the line that eventually pushing towards a Noam Dar Jordan Devlin match. So
nice. That's not a bit, a stop along the way with Dallas boys, because Coffey obviously wants a piece of Dar. Yeah. So yeah, that's a heck of a stop on the way to what should be a fantastic match between Dar and Devlin. Gary, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. We're going to let you get out of here and get on to the business at home. And we will see you next week.
Yep, I should see you then. And I can now, if I couldn't get to sleep, I fell asleep earlier on watching the TV. I know I'll fall asleep now that John Smith's come back on. Thanks very much. There you are. So.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good night. There we go. Uh-oh.
How dare you let him talk about me that way?
Welcome aboard, John Smith. How are you this evening?
I'm good, man. Good to be here. Just catching up on some wrestling from the past week all day today, so I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah. Tuesday mornings into the afternoon tend to be a big cram session when you realize, oh, I didn't really pay attention to that. I got to go back and take a look at that again.
Exactly.
So we're going to head down to Orlando for NXT 2.0. Last week's show kicked off with a heck of a match between Imperium and the Diamond Mine.
Yeah, you know how much I love my heel-on-heel action. So, Diamond Mine's kind of playing the face in this scenario, but they're no faces. Right at the beginning when they're doing their pose after their entrance, Gunther kicks the face off of Roddy to get things started, and all hell breaks loose. The story of this match was basically it was the Creeds versus the tag champs of Imperium. You always saw some combination of those four in the match for most of the match. So once in a while you got to tag in and out real quick from Gunther or Roddy, but then we go to commercial and then we come back and we got Roddy and Walter in the ring together. Roddy gets the upper hand somehow, tags in one of the Creed brothers, and then Roddy gets pulled out of the ring by the tag champs and double teamed. So then one of the Creeds goes over and busts that up, gets back in the ring, and then Walter just decides to take over from there. We get a nice healthy slap to the chest when he was going for a neck breaker. He didn't actually turn for the neck breaker. He just stood there and slapped his bare chest face in the ceiling. That was pretty awesome. Giant power bomb, folds him in half. 1, 2, 3. Imperium wins. And it seems like we're leading towards the Creed brothers versus the tag champs of Imperium. I feel like, it almost writes itself with the Dusty Cup. It looks like the Creed brothers kind of have the inside track to winning that, and then we get to see them cash that opportunity in against Imperium for those titles, I think.
Yeah. So a little later on, we had Diamond Mine backstage, and Bivens is saying how, we were let down by what happened tonight, but don't worry, we'll see Creeds down the line. The Creeds will see Imperium down the line after they win the Dusty. And then the Grizzled Young Vets show up to tell Diamond what we did tonight by losing those make our run to the cup that much easier. Now, this should take us to a couple of picks because originally they had told us that the Dusty Cup finals were going to be Vengeance Day. As far as the preview for tonight, they don't have these two semifinal matches booked. So we'll hold off on picking them, I guess. But you have the Grizzled Young Veterans going up against the Creed brothers and MSK going up against Idris Inofi and Malik Blade.
When is Vengeance Day?
Say again?
When is Vengeance Day? Next week or 2 weeks?
It is next week. It is next Tuesday, February the 15th.
Oh, okay. Well, I would think that they got to have the semifinals this week if they announced that the finals were going to be at Vengeance Day, no?
Yeah. Well, you know what it is that they mentioned it very way in the beginning, and now they've kind of given themselves room to back out of it because I don't think they've mentioned it since.
Okay.
And when you look at the card for tonight, you've got what seems like a pretty full card already. Stick both those matches in there. There would have to be some squashes, but we'll see what happens tonight. Getting back to last week, we had LA Knight cutting a promo in the ring. He told Grayson Waller that he's got a butt kicking coming to him. Joe Gacy and Hart out. They want to help LA Knight with his anger. Knight says, sure. You can help me with my anger by meeting me in the ring a little later on tonight. So later on in the evening, we have LA Knight versus Joe Gacy. This seemed like a walkover for LA Knight until he went out to the floor and Grayson Waller came through the crowd and jumped him. He hit that jumping stunner right there on the floor. And Knight just barely beats the 10 count to get back in, but he walks right into that discus clothesline or handspring clothesline that Joe Gacy uses to get the 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Waller stands over LA Knight and tells him, you know what? If you can get through my insurance policy, the Sangha or whatever his new name is, maybe I'll consider ripping up that restraining order and we can have ourselves a match. Well, that takes us into this week, and we're going to get that match between LA Knight and Sangha. Who you got in this one?
I feel like Sanga's going to win this match because we haven't seen him in a singles capacity yet, and I feel like this is going to be a long-term feud between LA Knight and Waller, so, why break the restraining order right away? So I got Waller interfering, of course, but I got Sangha winning.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not for points, so I'll go the other way and say they fast track it and it winds up at Vengeance Day. But I would not be the least bit surprised for you to be 100% correct on that. Okay, so now we have, getting back to last week, we have Toxic Attraction in the ring. Kaylee Ray interrupt. She wants a title match. Mandy says, absolutely not. So Kaylee Ray slaps Mandy, and they have a little back and forth, and she stands over her with her bat and promises her that by the end of the night, she'll have what she wants. This leads into several backstage cutaways where Kaylee Ray is chasing them around to the backstage. Then they head out to their car, and Mandy can't get into the car, but the other two jump in the back. Turns out Kaylee Ray's already behind the wheel. She drives off with the women's tag champs, then makes her way back to the building. We never even found out, if she had them chained to a radiator in a basement somewhere. But she made her way back to the building. She chased Mandy around some more. We wind up at the end of the night with Mandy getting chased out to the ring after she had spaghetti and the sheet cake thrown at her. So she's filthy. On top of being filthy hot, she makes her way out to the ring. Kaylee Ray chases her down there and says, forget about Vengeance Day. I don't even want to wait till Vengeance Day. I want a title match, and I want it next week. Mandy finally has to say, okay, let's just get this over with. I can't take any more of this. So that's what we've got tonight. We've got the NXT Women's Championship on the line between current champion Mandy Rose and the forever champion Kaylee Ray. What do you think's happening here?
I wouldn't be surprised if this match never got even off. Like if the bell never even rings for some reason or another, whether it's a Toxic Attraction attack or Mandy just healing her way out of the match in general, she sprains her ankle getting in the ring, and the ref says, oh, she can't continue, one of those types of things. If it ends up being if the match actually takes off, I don't see them putting the belt on Kaylee Ray on a random show like this, especially a week before a bigger it's not a pay-per-view, but it's a bigger weekly show than normal. So I'm gonna say Mandy comes out with the title either way after this week, and we may actually get the match we're looking for next week at Vengeance Day.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I didn't see a reason to do it this way, but I guess the way like you said, you have if a Toxic Attraction ever made their way out of wherever they were being held by Kaylee Ray, you could have them attack her. There's a schmaz, they throw the match out, or like you said, Mandy could pull an Eva Marie and not be able to make her way down to the ringside and even start the match. So I think either way,
Dewdrop will be her replacement.
I think either he still got that belt to the end of the night. I think you are correct. So moving along, we had Cora Jade backstage with Mackenzie last week. Raquel Gonzalez offered her one last chance to get out of the match. Cora was determined to prove her worth to Raquel. So we move along to Raquel versus Cora Jade. It's only about a 6-minute match, so we don't get to see all that much. But Cora Jade held her own for a little while, but then she went for, I guess, kind of a jumping knee. She basically jumped right into Raquel's arms, and that's not good because once Raquel's got you up in the air, the only way to go is down. Chingona bomb, 1, 2, 3. Raquel beats her. But then she helps her up. Show of good sportsmanship. And even though it's off camera, we hear her say, let's go win this. So I guess Cora gets what she wants. They're going to be a tag team. They're going to enter the Dusty Cup. What do you think their chances are? You think this is the storyline they've been writing all along?
I don't think they're going to win this. I think it might lead to a Cora Jade heel turn. Maybe we get that out of her. I don't know. Maybe she could be like another Dakota. Who knows? But no, I don't see them. I don't see them winning the whole thing. I'm sure they might even make the finals, but I don't see them winning it.
Yeah. The only reason, I think they've got an outside chance is because there is a history of kind of thrown together teams, at least the first couple of go arounds taking it. But yeah, this could end up with more matches against each other than with each other. So we'll see how that all works out. Oh, God. Okay, so we got Duke Hudson. He used to be addicted to gambling. Now he's addicted to flick in pain. Good for him. His hair is growing back a little bit, so there's that to be excited about.
But he's also now chopping the hair back off. They showed him shaving his head again. Like, what?
Yeah.
You were so upset about that, sir. What happened?
Well, we don't need consistency. Why would we have any of that?
Yeah, true.
So we have Soray making her triumphant return stateside. She has a brand new passion. She's got a grandmother's necklace, and hooray, that's fantastic. Well, she wins her match against Kayla Inlay. She hits an eye that weird where she grabs someone around the shoulder and around the hips to suplex them. I have no idea what that's called. I'm sure there'll be some kind of sunshine moniker to go with it, but she wins her match. Then later on, she's backstage talking to Mackenzie. She dedicates the win to her grandmother. Along comes Debbie Downer, a.k.a. Dakota Kai, to remind her that no matter how strong a relationship is, the sun will always set on it. And Soray's not very happy with that. Somehow or another, that's going to lead to a match, even though they didn't get physical at the moment. But we've got that one coming tonight. Soray versus Dakota Kai. Who are you in this one?
Oh, that's a tough one. I could see it going either way, but I got Dakota Kai winning this one. She's the wily veteran, and she'll do whatever it takes to win. So I think that she's going to come out with it.
Okay. Since there's no points on the line, I'm going to go with Soray just because she just came back. Let her get on a little bit of a winning streak. Maybe beating Dakota is what pisses Dakota off, and she attacks her, and we get some more of this down the line. Who knows? Like you said, could go either way. Let's see. We already talked about Gacy and Knight. We had Wendy Chu versus Amari Miller. This one came out of the discussion last week between Chu and Stratton, where Chu was just, trying to be a nice person, telling Tiffany Stratton not to be upset when she lost to Io Shirai, because everyone loses to Io Shirai. Well, now Stratton is taking Amari Miller on her, and she's promised Amari Miller a shopping spree if she beats Chu for her. Not sure why she's so invested in this, but Tiffany makes her way down to ringside in the middle of this match to slide her credit card in. I'm not sure how or why that was supposed to be a devastating illegal object, but all it does was serve as a distraction and allows Wendy Chu to land what just looked like a double axe handle. She just kind of swung both of her arms at Amari Miller, hit her in the chest, and she was able to pin her 1, 2, 3. The bigger thing to come out of it is Wendy Chu's the one who left with Daddy's black card. Tiffany is beside herself. So this week, those two are going to get it on. Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu. What do you think's happening here?
This is another interesting angle where I don't see where it's going. I guess usually when something gets taken from somebody, they don't get it back right away. So I'm going to go with Wendy Chu on this one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, Tiffany right now is in that vein of the very hateable heel, so she doesn't need to win any matches right now as long as she keeps, bitching and moaning to Daddy on her cell phone backstage, and we're giving Wendy a little bit of a push here. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think Wendy Chu takes this one. Then we had Andre Chase defeating the debuting Draco Anthony. With his Chase hit that hammerlock flatliner. And afterwards, we've seen Draco do, there's been a couple of vignettes. We've seen him cut a couple of promos backstage, just talking to the camera. Looked like he was sitting at a diner or whatever. I at least thought he was going to win in his debut. apparently all this was to set up Chase to finally get a win and to be able to afterwards call out Von Wagner. The match isn't officially booked yet, but it's coming somewhere down the line. And now found out that Von Wagner has Robert Stone on his side. He's all that much more formidable because now he doesn't have to talk.
Exactly.
So that brings us to the main event last week, which was Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. They were going up against Wilde and Mendoza of Legado del Fantasma. Ciampa would shove Wilde off the top turnbuckle and through the announce desk, which they've moved around to the side of the ring for some reason, where it's under the hard camera, so you don't really see they don't really get them on camera too much anymore, the announcers. But anyway, Wilde went through the table. That left Mendoza alone in the ring with Breaker, who got became victim of the Gorilla Press Power Slam. 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Santos is up on the apron. Braun lays the title down at his feet and basically invites him in. Santos points to his watch, reminds him things around here happen on my time. Well, at least we're taking a step in that direction because this week we're going to have a championship summit between Breaker and Escobar. I'm assuming this is leading to a match next week. What do you think? You're the guru, right?
Yeah, it all seems like Santos is the first program that Braun Breaker is going to get his first title defense against. So, I mean, I just like to see Santos up in that main event status. You know, he's so good on the mic, and you know, he's just it's a way to spotlight him. So then, you know, now Vince is going to see how good he is, and he's going to actually win that title eventually. Maybe not next guy, but unless he gets called up to the big leagues, Santos definitely has a world title reign in his future. It won't be soon though, but I think we will get the match at Vengeance Day.
Yeah, I believe you are correct. Yeah, Santos is so good; it's just a matter of time. All right, that takes us through. Yeah, I think we made all the picks for 2.0. That's going to bring us around to Impact. Come on, yep, there we go. Impact. This was the set of tapings from Pembroke, Florida, where our buddy Ryan and the lovely Maggie May were in attendance, and every time they shot the announce desk, Maggie May was there chanting in between the announcers. So that was a lot of fun to watch. And the match, the evening started off with a title change. Break this one down for us, John.
Yeah, what a match. Holy crap. So Cardona comes out and, you know, he starts trying to do some chain wrestling with her, you know, trying to be all chivalrous and whatnot. And, you know, Jordan Grace is kind of getting the better of him here and there. It was kind of, you know, back and forth match for a little while. Then Cardona hits a suplex into the corner and she goes into the turnbuckles upside down awkwardly. And he's got this look on his face like, oh my God, I just really hurt a woman, you know. And then, you know, he seemed like he's holding back all match and, you know, getting upset when he's hitting her hard and, you know, just a little bit though. And then, you know, 10 minutes into the match, you know, he kind of realizes this isn't going the way I want it to go. He just gotten chucked out of the ring by Big Mommy Pump or whatever you call him, Thick Mama Pump, I think you call her.
There you go.
So she goes to dive out of the ring, and he has a chair that he pulled out from under the ring, and he holds it up. Jordan goes face first into that. We get radio silence, I think is the name of his finisher. Woo woo woo! We got a new champion, you know it, and he seemed really happy with himself, as if all the other stuff that he was doing during the match, acting like he didn't like that he was hurting her, as if he actually did enjoy it and it was all an act, you know.
So we've got the heel turn by Matt Cardona. Now later we see him backstage. And Gia Miller comes up to him and says, like, you know, explain yourself. You hit a woman with a chair to win that title over your shoulder. And basically to cement the heel turn, on his way out the door, he says, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about the Gresham and how he feels, going to sleep every night next to a loser, and, makes his way out the door. He could have bought himself some trouble there, because even though he towers over Gresham could there could be an opportunity for him to get stretched sometime in the near future. Let's see. Then we had W. Morrissey backstage. He's still furious from last week. He blames Brian Meyer and the Learning Tree for kind of setting him up to get taken out by Moose. So he's chasing them around backstage. He gets his hands on Zicky and VSK, but Myers escapes, and Morrissey's just creating havoc backstage. Eventually, he bumps into Scott. Scott tells him, calm down. And he's, I'm after Myers. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't care if you rip Myers' head off. In fact, I'll book you a no DQ match for next week. No problem. But you're not going to find Moose back to the hotel. So just stop turning stuff upside down backstage. He's not here. Well, Morrissey was happy to have the no DQ match next week, which we'll pick in a minute. But this would lead to Morrissey actually paid attention. He wound up going to the hotel, kicking in the door. It's a nice little efficiency room. So it conveniently had a refrigerator in it, and he would bounce Moose off of it multiple times, slam his head in the freezer door. Those two are going to go at it down the line, no surrender. But for this week, Morrissey will get his hands on Brian Myers in a no DQ match. What do you got in this one?
I'm just wondering if somehow Brian Myers pulls it off because of the Learning Tree, but I don't think so. I got W. Morrissey finally getting his revenge.
Yeah, I'm assuming that unless Moose shows up and he's part of the attack with, because it's gonna take more than the Learning Tree to take down W. Morrissey probably. So unless Moose gets involved, and Moose seems to be playing the part of the chicken at the moment, staying away from things, I think Morrissey rips Brian Myers apart. So I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Moving along here, we had a match between Jonah and Crazy Steve. It ended in about 2 minutes, and it ended with a certain move that we like to call the...
I'm sorry, you were breaking up. I couldn't hear exactly what you were saying. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to leave you hanging.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a throw. It was a match between Jonah and Crazy Steve. Jonah, of course, won with Tsunami in a little over 2 minutes. But afterwards, Jonah got ready to hit a Tsunami. Started to climb back up the turnbuckle, and Black Taurus put him in between Jonah and Crazy Steve. That was enough to make Jonah say, yeah, maybe this isn't the fight I want right now, and back off. So look for that somewhere down the line. Let's see. Moving along, we had a match.
There you go.
You got to hit the catchphrases. That's where the money's made. Moving along, we had Jonathan Gresham defeating Macklin by DQ when Macklin got Gresham up against the ropes. Since it was not a pure match, the referee was telling him, let him out of the ropes, and Macklin continued to beat on him. He didn't beat the 5 count. Match gets thrown out. DQ. Gresham wins. But afterwards, Macklin continues the attack. He gets Gresham in a Boston Crab. He sits way back in it. Gresham is tapping something I don't know, the last time anyone's seen Jonathan Gresham tap, but it doesn't matter because there wasn't a match. So his former buddies, maybe buddies from Honor No More, come out to save him. Gresham doesn't want anything to do with it. Once they attack Macklin, Gresham gets up and just walks right out of the ring. And it leads to just a beatdown on Macklin as we go to the commercial break. But it kind of rolls over into the next match. We have Josh Alexander against Vincent with Swan, Sabin, and Rhino at ringside. The other 3 males of Honor No More at ringside. The Honor No More guys are kind of getting in the way. Josh eventually sinks in an ankle lock and gets Vincent to tap. But afterwards, when it seems like the Impact guys have got the upper hand, here comes former Impact, or at least TNA roster member Kenny King, but he's been in Ring of Honor for the last little bit. He slides in, he drops Josh with his finisher, the Royal Flush, and he bails to join the Honor No More folks on the ramp. They all leave laughing and waving at him. This is going to lead to a match this week. We're going to get Rhino and Rich Swan, not exactly a tag team that's tagged together. They're going to take on Taven and Bennett, or as they're known in Ring of Honor, the OGK. Who you got in this one?
Hey, if Rhino's involved and it's an Impact, I got to go with Rhino. So Rhino is my pick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess logic would tell you that the tag team that's been tagging together forever would win this one, but it kind of feels like these Ring of Honor, they're going to continue to lose up until they get to the 5-on-5 surrender, where their life in the company is on the line, and then they'll probably win that one so that they get to stick around. So I'm with you. Give me Swan and Rhino in this one as well. What do we got here? Karl checking in. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking this might be the case as well. Like Gresham has made a point of kind of pulling himself aside from the Ring of Honor guys, or Honor No More, whatever you want to call them now. It would just kind of make sense that in the end he wants to be in cahoots with them all along. Moving along here, we have. I know you were very excited about this one last week. Bhupinder Gujar. They pronounce plays during last week, so I'm not sure which one's correct. But he would take on John Skyler. Gujar he's in great shape. He's a little bit taller, so he's a prototypical wrestling body. He wins this match by diving for a spear off the second buckle. He gets the win on Skyler, and afterwards, Raj Singh comes out. Raj Singh was the one who was all excited about seeing him the week before. Gujar seems to want nothing to do with it. He just kind of distances himself from him. And, let's see. Good work, boys. See you next week, hopefully. Yes, please come back. No one wants to hear me this much, Al. Least of all me. So Gujar and Raj Singh here don't be getting along as Singh had hoped. We'll see whether or not they wind up going head to head at some point down the line. Then we got another vignette for this Gisele Shaw, who's coming in under the nickname of the Quintessential Diva. That one's a little bit interesting. I believe she's got a match tonight, although it wasn't on the website the last time I checked, but from what I understand from the taping, she does wrestle. So it should show up on TV one of these next 2 weeks. I'm not sure what this whole gimmick is. Is she the quintessential diva? Like, is that a poke at WWE? Is she going to, challenge girls to bra and panty matches and pillow fights and whatnot? I'm not quite sure what her gimmick is yet.
If only. I would love to see that.
A return
or maybe she's gonna. It's an ode to Joel Gertner because he was the quintessential stud muffin.
Oh God, would that be wonderful? He came back to be her mouthpiece. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, with the neck brace and everything, that'd be awesome.
Neck brace and bow tie, baby. So next we had a video package of Mickie James and her time in the Royal Rumble. She put up a good amount of time there. We cut to live backstage with Mickie talking to Gia Miller. Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans show up and interrupt her. Chelsea Green shows up to get Mickey's back again. They offer a tag match, but Tasha and Savannah, they're bored by it. They don't care. Tasha's looking forward to her title shot down the line. They just walk off. Mickie turns to Chelsea, thanks her for having her back once again, and says, "Look, we're good friends. You've been saying we should get in the ring together. So I'm going to grant you your wish. I'll give you a shot." Now, originally, it kind of sounded on the show like they were talking about maybe her getting the next shot at the title down the line after Chelsea takes on Tasha. But according to the way things are booked, this is just a friendly exhibition because it's going to happen this Thursday night. We're going to get Mickie James versus Chelsea Green in a non-title match. A, who do you got here? And B, do you think that Mrs. Cardona is going to make a heel turn along with her husband and, do something terrible to Mickie in what Mickie thinks is a friendly little competition?
I mean, now that you mentioned it, that seems pretty likely. I wouldn't have even thought in that direction. So, I mean, I think Mickey's winning the match either way. Like, typically when you have a non-title match, the challenger wins. Yeah. But I like Mickie to win this, whether it's just like a nice 15-minute match where she just pulls out the victory, or if Chelsea gets disqualified for doing something maniacal to her,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Moving on, we had Masha Slamovich against Casey Lennox. That side Death Valley driver with a hook in it. She's named finally. It's now the Russian Death Device. She used that to get the 43-second victory. Okay, wonderful. We cut to Deonna backstage. She's basically explaining herself for walking out on Mickey's State of the Knockouts division address from the week before. And Deonna says, I don't have to be there to listen to that because I am the women's division. She's got both of her titles on her shoulder, and she makes a open challenge for anyone who wants to come and take a shot at either one of her titles. So we're going to say it's Deonna versus Inaction, and we'll make the pick anyway. Any idea or, who it might be you think coming in? And who do you think, do you think anyone takes Deonna's title off her?
Nobody's taking the title off of Deonna. Who the heck could it be? I don't know, maybe just like another Forbidden Door or something person.
Yeah, that's my best guess. And the only other person I could come up with, obviously I don't know the roster down in AAA, but I know that the last Ring of Honor event where Roxy retained the title was against a woman named Willow. So maybe she comes walking through the door and says, hey, I had a shot at that title and I missed out on it. I want another shot at it. But beyond that, I can't imagine who's stepping through that door next. And I don't see it being anyone on the present roster. Otherwise, why would they be doing it against Deonna with the two titles from outside the company? Right. So I guess it's another wait and see. And then we move along to the main event of Impact from last week. It was the Bullet Club against Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, Jake Sung, and Speedball Mike Bailey. This one ended when, oh my God, what's his first name? White from New Japan.
Jay White.
Of Destiny. Jay White. Thank you, sir. They held Jake something in place for Chris Bay to hit the Art of the Finesse and the 1-2-3. But more importantly, in the middle of the match, G.O.D. made sure to turn to the camera before hitting Magic Kill on Madman Fulton. And, you thought maybe we'd get some interference immediately thereafter, but they waited to the end of the match, and it was a 17-minute match, so they put in some work. But afterwards, Violent by Design and the Good Brothers would run down for the 5-on-4 attack and get the upper hand as the show ends. Look forward to some more action between the Bullet Club, the Good Brothers, Violent by Design, and some kind of Impact contingent. But we'll see. That one may wind up going over into the Impact Plus event coming up next week, I guess. So we will move over to SmackDown. There we go. The show opens as it almost always does with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline in the ring. Heyman explains the epiphany that led to him making his way back to Roman's side. none of that really makes much of a difference because the big point of this segment is Goldberg. And boy, wasn't everyone just dying to see Goldberg again. So that one is going to roll itself forward into the Elimination Chamber, I guess. Now, this was our fault for not seeing it coming. It's that time of year again. We're going to Saudi. The Saudis love Goldberg, so we got to put him on the card. But I just don't get why would you put him? I know Vince has been drooling over this match since it was supposed to be part of WrestleMania that nobody else other than Vince wanted to see. But why not send Goldberg to Saudi Arabia and just give him someone obnoxious to beat the hell out of so that he can get cheered for there? Because I don't see him beating Roman. God forbid. Do you?
Oh, no. I mean, I hadn't even considered it until you said it out. You put it out into the ether, and now it might happen. No, there's no way. I mean, no, it's not going to happen. But you're right. Like they love Goldberg over there, which is pretty curious to begin with. But why put him in the main event? Why put him against Roman when you know Roman's not losing that title before WrestleMania? So yeah. It's kind of weird unless there's some other wrestler that's going to get involved with Goldberg and screw him out of the title. And then, it sets up Goldberg for WrestleMania against somebody. But I couldn't even imagine who that would be, who they would pair Goldberg against.
Yeah. Yeah, it made sense a while back. I remember Riddle had said some things about Goldberg going all the way back to when he almost killed The Undertaker with that sloppy match. And it seemed like eventually we were going to get Riddle versus Goldberg just to let Goldberg beat the hell out of Riddle, because, hey, it's just Riddle. It doesn't matter. He makes everybody laugh. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. But now Riddle's in the middle of the Elimination Chamber match, so that's not, that's probably not going to be your storyline. So who knows why? But Goldberg,
plus Riddle is so over that I don't think Vince would want to have him get squashed by Goldberg anywhere.
Yeah. Plus, like you said, he's so over. You might wind up having they want to root for Goldberg, but Riddle's so over. Who plays what part in that one? So yeah, wipe that one off the face of the map for now. Okay, moving along on SmackDown, we had Ricochet defeating Ridge Holland. He caught Sheamus and Cesaro were arguing outside. Ridge Holland was paying too much attention to that when he got rolled outside. He kind of easily made his way back in, and Ricochet caught him with the recoil while he was half in and half out through the ropes. Well, Sheamus didn't like this at all, and in commercial, he found his way into Pierce's ear, I guess, and he wanted a tag team match. Coming back out of breaks, we've got Sheamus and Holland versus Cesaro and Ricochet. Easy for me to say. Holland would make a blind tag as Cesaro hit a very nice superplex on Sheamus, but then he stood up and Holland scooped him right up for grit. 2-3 win for Sheamus and Holland. This one was followed by Jimmy Uso defeating Ek from the Viking Raiders in 1 minute and 20 seconds with a super kick and a splash. I'm not even sure why we got that. These two are headed to with their partners for probably a really good tag match down the line. I don't know why you'd work a squash into the middle of that. But anyway, then we got a replay of Aaliyah and Natalya. Natty, of course, is pissed off that Aaliyah beat her in 3.17 seconds. That whole storyline that led to a T-shirt. Gotta love that. Aaliyah would win by count out when Natty took her outside. She was beating the hell out of her. Aaliyah got the upper hand just a second, but it was just enough to throw Natty into the barricade and make her way back in and beat the 10 count. Natty didn't. Aaliyah wins by count out. Later on, we get Natty in Pierce and Sonya's office. She demands another match with Aaliyah, but this time it's under dungeon rules. You can only win by polar submission. So I guess that basically just means no count out, no DQ. She goes to Aaliyah herself. but instead she runs into Xia Li, which scares Natty, and she backs off. Well, someone eventually's got to get in Aaliyah's ear and let her know what's happening, because it's happening once we actually have a match booked ahead of time for SmackDown. Natalya versus Aaliyah, winner by pinfall or submission only. John Smith, who you got in this one?
I'm going to go with Aaliyah on this one. I think we're going to get some interference by the protector, Xia Li. I think that's what we're leading towards, is a program between Natalya and Xia Li to get us all introduced to who the new Xia Li is.
That makes a lot of sense. I think I'm going to have to agree with you there. Give me, I'm on the same side as you there, leading to Natty and Xia Li. That one should be good, assuming that Xia Li doesn't literally kick Natty's head off.
Yeah.
So we've got Sami Zayn also in Pearson Sonia's office. We see footage of him getting kicked out of the red carpet premiere of Jackass Forever, and Johnny Knoxville hitting him with the cat a couple more times. He's in Pearson Sonia's office, but he's not even talking about that. He wants to know, when the heck is my Intercontinental title match coming? And Pearson Sonia went, okay, you can have it next week. And Sammy's like, well, maybe not next week. I need a little time to recover from the cattle prodding. How about we do it in 2 weeks? So that one's booked for February the 18th. Sammy will finally get his shot at the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, who also had a match on this evening. It was a Champions Contenders match with Jinder Mahal. Sammy was on commentary, but he didn't get involved. Shinsuke would win with the Kinshasa, a little over 3 minutes. No fuss, no muss. And as I said, in 2 weeks' time, we'll finally see Sammy get his shot at the Intercontinental title. And this takes us to our main event, where the New Day would face off against Los Lotharios. John Smith, break this one down for us.
Yeah, and you put Los Lotharios in a situation where they get 15 minutes to go, and you really see what the hell they can do. This is a top echelon tag team in WWE. I don't care what anybody says. They have such good flow and chemistry, and they got some innovative moves. The beginning of the match, they hung Kofi up in a trio O, and one was whipping the other one towards him, but then whipped him back towards Big E instead, and knocked Big E off the top rope. It was something totally unexpected that I thought was pretty cool. And then they went on to start beating up on Kofi 2-on-1 a little bit. The moonsault Humberto Carrillo did the one into the ring where it was reversed by Kofi with his feet up. He was landed right with his face on those feet. It was a beautiful looking counter. And then he later in the match was able to hit his moonsault to the outside of the ring, I believe to Big E, onto one of them. So we get later on to the match, we got what looks like is about to be a doomsday device by the Lotharios on Kofi, but it's actually a drop kick off of the shoulders. He kicks out, though. I believe that's their finisher. It might not be. I'm not sure, though. He kicks out. Angel Garza goes for the wing clipper. Kofi, flips over his shoulders, gets over to the corner. Big E gets the tag. Kofi then sets him up Big E comes in, sets him up for the midnight hour. 1, 2, 3. We got the New Day winning it, but it just shows what the Lotharios can do. I'd love to see them in a title match against the Usos someday.
Absolutely, yeah. If they just paid a little bit more attention to the tag team division, there's plenty of talent there. You just got to write a nice storyline for them and put them in the ring for more than 3 minutes so that everyone can enjoy it. So, completely agree with you on that. And so that was our main event of actual in-ring action, but that wasn't the end of action in the ring, if you will. Charlotte, for the last segment, will make her way down to the ring. Sonya is there to say that Sonya spoke to Becky, and Becky said she heard from Ronda, and Ronda says she's choosing Becky, according to Becky. Charlotte's not surprised by this. She says, yeah, well, of course the mom would pick the other mom. That's an easy easier route for her than going chair. So Charlotte says, "All right, fine. It's only proper. I'll pick my own WrestleMania main event opponent. I pick Sasha. Okay, it seems like that's where we're going." Then Ronda's music. Ronda comes out. She says, first of all, I won the Royal Rumble. I get to make the choice. Enough with the she said stuff. And it seems like Ronda lost her place in her promo. Like there was probably more that was supposed to be building up to it, but she jumped ahead to the last line, which is the last line for every babyface that will get over on a heel in the female division, is to say, "You're not special, and I'll see you at blah, blah, blah." In this case, "I'll see you at WrestleMania, bitch." That can pop from the crowd. Sonya gets between them because it looks like it's going to get physical. Sonya gets the judo throw, and she gets an armbar for her trouble while Charlotte rolls out. But Charlotte's not off the hook. Earlier in the show, Naomi was looking for Sonya again, demanding that she get her ass in the ring. And Sonya tried to talk her way out of it by saying, "You know what? I'm busy. I'm too busy tonight." Yeah. So Sonya says, or Naomi says, "What about next week?" And Sonya's back into a corner now. She's, "Oh, no, you're already booked for next week. Next week, you got a match with Charlotte Flair." "Yeah, that's right. And it's for the title even." So, of course, Naomi doesn't believe her, but Pierce is right there. And Pierce says, basically, if she said it, I'll hold her to it. You've got my word. You have yourself a title match with Charlotte Flair. So now we've actually got 2 matches booked for next week on SmackDown in advance. We never see that. Who you got in this one? Charlotte Flair defending the SmackDown Women's title against Naomi.
I absolutely see Charlotte Flair coming out with that belt. This is just to further the Naomi Sonya Deville feud, I think. So, whether it's a DQ win for Naomi or a screw job loss, the title's not going on her.
I would have to agree with you 100%, sir. Yeah, Flair leaves, and it, as you said, it only serves to further Naomi versus Sonya, which at some point in time, probably WrestleMania at this point, they've dragged it out this long. Why not drag it out till Mania? These two, it wouldn't be terrible to see them at the Elimination Chamber. Like, it almost needs a gimmick match between these two for the blow-off, but we need the actual full-length match, just these two. But that's for another time to come. That'll do it for SmackDown. To last night, let me see if I can find the graphics again. And we make our way to Raw. Raw coming to you from Denver, Colorado. It started off with the Alpha Academy and RK Bro doing the last leg of their academic challenge, the Quiz Bowl. And I would have bet my next month on what the last question was going to be that was going to win it for RK Bro. I would have been correct on what the question was. I did not see it coming that Randy would be the one to answer it. But apparently Randy knows exactly how many grams are in and outs as well, as we know Riddle does. So the Alphas win the academic challenge. They'll get themselves a tag title match, rematch, if you will, coming up later. They take off RK Bro. The Street Profits make their way out. They pour a little salt in the wound. They make fun of the Alphas for losing. The Alphas challenge them to a match. We go to commercial. We come back out. Match is in progress. The Alpha Academy, Dawkins would try to escape Gable's ankle lock by kind of like rolling underneath. Gable just sat down into the old Raw roll-up, the return of the Raw roll-up. We hadn't seen one on in a while, and we hadn't seen one all week. But the Alpha Academy wins when Gable rolls up Dawkins. 5 minutes and 35 seconds. That takes us on to a championship contenders match between AJ Styles and Damian Priest. I don't get what's happening here. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I thought if they were going to take the title off Priest last week or the week before, whenever he fought KO, maybe that would put Priest into prime position to either get into the Elimination Chamber, or when I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, I thought he was going to, maybe that would mean maybe him winning the Royal Rumble. You got AJ beating Damian Priest with a phenomenal forearm and a 1-2-3 in just under 5 minutes. So AJ has earned a shot at the U.S. title. And I thought maybe this would come after the Elimination Chamber. AJ doesn't win the Elimination Chamber. He's got this to fall back on. We're getting this match next week on Raw. So we're going to make a pick here. What's your thoughts here, John? Who wins the match, and what is this leading to with AJ in, the Elimination Chamber? What do you think's going on here?
I thought I had it all figured out until you said that the match is on Raw next week. I thought that it was going to end up being at Elimination Chamber, and AJ would win it. And then we'd get AJ versus Omos, because Omos would come out and just squash him the second he won the title, and they challenge him for WrestleMania. And then they put that belt on Omos, and then he's like this unstoppable U.S. champion, for the summertime. That's where I thought they would end up going long term with this. Maybe they'll give us the title change on Raw. I mean, I'm a huge AJ Styles guy, so I'm gonna pick AJ Styles to win here. This is face on face right now, so both guys should be acting honorably, and if they both are, AJ Styles is the better wrestler. So I got AJ winning it.
Yeah. I don't see why you put AJ in this match if he's not going to win it. I don't know what the plan is for Priest. It just doesn't make sense. I'm still going to hold out the idea that maybe we know Brock Lesnar is going to appear next week on Raw. I'm going to hold out hope that he loses his mind, beats the hell out of someone, and gets himself pulled out of the Elimination Chamber, because him being in that also makes no sense. And then maybe Priest gets put in there because he wants revenge on AJ, and that's how those two take each other out, and they don't wind up, at the end of the Elimination Chamber. I don't know, but as far as the match goes, I agree with you. I think AJ takes that U.S. title because it'll look good around his waist because he's the best in the biz. Let's see. Moving right along, we get a segment of Miz TV. Maurice is there. The guests are Rey and Dom Mysterio. Miz is a little bit jealous that Rey got a shot at the Elimination Chamber, even though he didn't qualify. He's even more jealous that Rey's the 2K22 cover superstar. Dom's tired of the way that Miz is talking to dear old dad. He doesn't like the disrespect. He gets in Miz's face. Miz says, "You want to repeat it last week? Sure, let's do it." These two go at it again. Only last week, if you remember, Rey was kicked out when Miz pretended that Rey interfered. This week, Maurice gets caught interfering. She gets kicked out. This time, Rey does interfere, and it allows Dom, while Miz is barking at Rey outside, to hit the kind of a cartwheel onto his back, rolls the Miz up for the 1-2-3. It's a sub 3-minute match, but Dom Mysterio gets your win. That's your second Raw roll-up on Raw. It's only your second roll-up of the week, but it leads us to my new favorite segment. That is the Raw roll-up for the week. We had Chad Gable earlier in the show on Angelo Dawkins. We've got Dom Mysterio a few segments later on The Miz. And our ongoing tally for the year. Raw's making their way back into things. Nobody else had a roll-up this week, so Raw's getting right back in, right where we expect them, right where we like them.
I expected AEW to have 6 for the whole year. And they had 6 in the first 3 weeks of the year.
They're out to such a start. It's just going to be hilarious if they continue to lead this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, so we have ourselves a backstage segment early on with KO and Rollins because, as we all know, they're best friends. Rollins is so upset that his buddy KO is not going to be in the Elimination Chamber with him, but hey, what are you going to do? But KO seems to think that if he beats Austin Theory to the rematch, it's a no-brainer. They got to put him in, take Austin Theory out. So we move along, and KO does defeat Austin Theory about midway through the show. He catches him with a stunner. They have a nice 9-minute match. KO gets the 1-2-3 victory. He goes into Pierce and Sonya's office, and he just kind of says, like, "Hey, what do you think? I went out there and I beat him. I'm in the match, right? I'm going to the Elimination Chamber." And they're like, "No, you lost the qualifying match. This week's match meant nothing except for your record. You lost the qualifying match. You're not going to be in it." KO pleads his case. It leads to the Elimination Chamber, but more importantly, it leads to WrestleMania. I can't be left out of WrestleMania. It's in Texas. Texas is so important to me. It's where I won my Universal Championship. How could you do this to me? Well, they got no good news for him. He'll have to find another way onto the WrestleMania card, which, God willing, he will. But he's not going to the Elimination Chamber. Roll this one forward. This pays off a little bit in the main event. It's a 2-part main event. Starts out with Riddle versus Seth Rollins. John, break this one down for us if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, if it had just stuck with Riddle versus Seth Rollins and it ended when the interference happened, we would have probably been happy with that because it was a hell of a match. And you know me, I'm not a big Seth Rollins fan, but Riddle can really go, and he can, he makes everything, just believable. I mean, he really sucks you into his matches somehow. There's something about him. I don't know what it is, but they had a good solid, 7, 8, 9 minutes. I don't know how long it went before Riddle got a nice springboard twisting moonsault thing into the outside, and KO came in and just destroyed Riddle after he hit that move on Seth. He popped up out of nowhere from behind the announce desk or from the timekeeper's area or whatever. So we figure it's just a DQ, but then we end up getting a tag match instead, playa. So we get because Randy Orton came down for the save when KO started doing his thing. So now we get RK Bro versus do we have a name for Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? I don't think so yet.
If we call them best friends, it would be gimmick infringement, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we get the two of them, those two teams, and we get another good 7-8 minutes after the commercial break before Seth Rollins is able to hit the curb stomp after, I believe, a little bit of shenanigans on Riddle. And Kevin Owens seems really happy about this victory. He's hugging Seth. He kisses him on the back of the head. He's just so happy because the prospect of missing out on WrestleMania is really getting to him. And I don't know where they're going with that storyline, but it seems like he's going to have to scratch and claw to get his way onto the WrestleMania card.
Yeah, it would be a shame for KO to miss KO Mania, but I think this was all just a bunch of ha-ha for him to try and, he wants to get in the Elimination Chamber when we all know that he's not going to Saudi because he's kind of standing in solidarity with his boy Sami, who's not welcome in Saudi. So, this was all, I think, just kind of a wink-wink, nudge-nudge behind the scenes, and there better be no doubt that KO makes it onto the WrestleMania card. So early in the night, we told you that RK Bro won the academic, whatever you want to call it. But they're celebrating next week with a RK Broga party. So put that one on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. That's part of Raw for next week. I already mentioned that Brock Lesnar will appear. We picked the Damien Priest and AJ Styles match. That's most of what happened. We did get we had a Doudrop match against Liv Morgan. They went about 8 minutes. It was an entertaining match. Doudrop would win with a Vader bomb. But that was more to talk about the women's chamber that I wasn't even sure we were getting, but apparently we are. Right now, we're just told right off the bat, it involves Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, who would also defeat Nikki Ash, who is also in it, and Doudrop. So we have 5 of the 6 competitors. We haven't been told how someone is going to qualify for that 6th spot yet, but they've got, I guess they've got time. Yeah, they got time this week to sneak it in. So I can find out next week on Raw. So stay tuned for that. We'll figure out who and how we fill that 6th spot in the women's elimination chamber.
And is that for a shot at Becky at WrestleMania?
Yes, the winner of that will face either Becky or Lita. Let's be honest, we know it's going to be Becky. Whoever comes out of that match, that will be another female WrestleMania main event, because all the females seem to think that they're main eventing WrestleMania, even though it's 2 nights and the men are going to get in there somewhere.
I'm still of the belief that we're going to get Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda somehow. Still, I think that's the match that people want. The match everybody wants is Ronda and Becky. I don't understand why they're going Ronda and Charlotte. I could see Charlotte pulling up some power play backstage, like, oh, you're gonna have Becky and Ronda, and I'm a bigger star than Becky, and blah blah blah. I'm the Flair, blah blah blah, jerk jerk jerk.
I 100% agree with you. It just made sense. Becky's the one who actually pinned Ronda in that debacle of a main event in WrestleMania, whatever it was, 35, 36, 37. You would think she would want back at her for that Raw title. And it seemed like you had Flair, who, say what you want about her, I enjoy her, but she's probably the biggest female name they have there. And so you had Flair, your biggest female name, against a former Hall of Famer, because Lita was putting herself in position to face her. They had a little face off before the Royal Rumble. They got in each other's face at the Royal Rumble. It just made sense. Now you get this jumble. I don't know where it's going. Stay tuned. I'll figure it out somewhere along the line. But once again, it seems like they're taking something that makes total sense and going, nah, that's too easy. So that'll do it for Raw. And since I don't have an AEW graphic in the corner, I guess we'll go back to the EWP. We're going to go to AEW. Last week, Dynamite and Rampage. We're going to jump around a little bit here because this leads into that, leads into the other thing. We'll jump back and forth. They were in Chicago. They're home away from home. There was a huge main event for Dynamite where MJF finally faced off with CM Punk. This one went almost 40 minutes. I thought that there were shenanigans. I thought there was going to be even more blatant shenanigans, and we weren't even going to get a finish in this match, which is something they hold for very special occasions on AEW. But it led to we thought we had an end to the match about 15 minutes in when MJF undid some tape off of his arm behind the referee's back and blatantly choked CM Punk to sleep under the guise of a sleeper hold, but he had that tape around his throat. And then as the referee held his arm up to congratulate him for winning, the tape fell out at the referee's feet, and he put all of it together and said, well, we've got to strike this from the record and restart the match. So they continue to go at it. MJF managed to use a low blow. Wardlow comes out. We're pushing 35 minutes. He steps over, there's this uneasiness between Wardlow and MJF. So he steps over MJF's body, who's out at ringside. We didn't get it from the first camera angle, but in a replay, we saw as he stepped over his body to get in CM Punk's face, even though he wound up back off of CM Punk, he used that little distraction behind his back to pass off the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which eventually MJF would use. Loaded right hand, knocked Punk out. 1, 2, 3, a 38-minute match. MJF gets the win in Chicago, and holy hell, how he got out of the building alive.
Yeah, I was surprised that he won it on TV like that. I figured he would get his win over CM Punk on pay-per-view, but I'm not too happy with how long the match went. This isn't like Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega we're talking about here. This is MJF and CM Punk, right? Like there was no, there's no title on the line. There was not much build up for there to be a 40-minute match involved. So I would have liked to have seen them cut about 10 to 12 minutes off this thing, but I mean, it was still a good story to tell. And, they did get us with that choke out situation, but then you also felt like this is supposed to be the main event. So like, it's not going to end this way. This has got to be something like it's got to restart. Yeah. So.
Yeah, especially when there was, like they started this match so early in the show, that last hour, that I was like, there's no way they're going 40 minutes. Well, they almost went 40 minutes, but not without a little break there in the middle with that little oopsie at the 15-minute mark. So earlier in the evening, we had Billy Gunn and the Ass Boys attacking Jungle Boy backstage. They beat him around backstage. They tossed him out a door. They threw him into a snow pile just in time for Christian and Luchasaurus to, run them off just a little bit too late. But once again, they've had their signature moment. So this is going to lead to a match, and we're going to pick it. This week on Rampage, Jurassic Express will be defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against Colton and Austin Gunn. John, who you got in this one?
I think I'm going to go with the Ass Boys, probably because I want them to win. Like, I think that, like, titles, yeah, it's good to have long reigns, but to have everybody have a long reign, like, have some titles get bounced around a little bit. Have the Ass Boys win this and then lose them in 3 weeks to somebody else, and then that team loses them a week later, and then that guy's got a month, and then they lose, let's see that they got such an awesome tag division that everybody should be getting a taste of that gold right now.
Yeah, you're definitely onto something there. I'm not going to pick them to win it right just yet. I'm going to stick with Jurassic Express retaining. But the point that you made there that I think is 100% right is there are so many tag teams that you could see at the top of this tag team division, at least for a little while, that at some point in time, probably in the not too distant future, we're going to start playing ping pong with those belts. Because the night that Jurassic Express won it, they lined 7 teams up on the stage, and as they went along, you could pretty much see each one of them being tag champs at some point. So we got to get to the business of shuffling that around and getting everybody their due.
Word up.
So earlier in the evening, the evening started with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. Yuta had his buddies Orange Cassidy and Danhausen for some god unknown reason with him at ringside. Moxley would win with a paradigm shift, but it was more about the after effects of the match when Moxley celebrated the crowd. He's just about as over as anybody in the biz. And he turns around and Bryan Danielson is there in the ring. We thought maybe this was going to lead to immediate fisticuffs. This was not the case. Danielson would get on the mic and say, basically, welcome back. Glad to see you're doing well. And let's be honest, if you had support, you'd probably still be world champion in this company. And Danielson went on to say how this made him realize, I've been in this situation before where the company didn't support me and I had no one to lean on. And that's what made me realize we should be together, not fighting each other. So let's, do our own thing. We could take over AEW, take some young guys under our wing and train the next generation, and kind of left it at that. Danielson rolls out, leaves Mox there in the ring to think about it. I thought a really great match was going to be coming out of this, but if this leads to these two not tag teaming together, but teaming together to kind of become a click and they bring some of the young guys under their wing, this could be really, really entertaining. What do you make? Do you think do you think that that's what happens, or do you think they eventually just wind up turning on each other and fighting? Because either way, it pays off good for us, the fans.
I feel like AEW is too predictable with this kind of stuff, and that like it's going to end up ending in fisticuffs. But I would love to see like a little, click with the two of them. Maybe bring one other, former WWE guy along for them to all like mesh together and watch each other's back. Maybe not just the two of them would be fine too. Like, DX worked as a 2-man group. Not that this would be anything like DX, but the very contrasting styles, but both at the top of their game right now. So I think that it would be an awesome team up.
Absolutely. Oh, I could not agree more. I would love to see the two of them together. We'll see what they do with this. They're usually pretty. It depends what they want. So hopefully, we'll get this at least for a little while. The next segment was a doozy. We had Brandy Rhodes in the ring. She confuses Chicago for Cleveland, so of course that went over well with the Chicago faithful. Well, let's put it this way: at least somebody in that family knows they're a heel. But not to be outdone or out. Dan Lambert would make his way out with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky to interrupt her. He had some really interesting words for her. He continues to be old school heel gold. And when Brandy basically said, I'll slap the taste out of your mouth, blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously, Dan Lambert's not going to get physical, and neither one of the guys that were with him are. So he called out 12-gauge Paige Van Zant. I'm in no rush to see Paige Van Zant, who I'm not sure whether or not she's a wrestler or how good she is. I'm never in a hurry to see Brandy Rhodes. But if these two are going to go at it, okay. Let's see what Paige has learned training with, Ethan Page and Bio Sky. This should at least be interesting.
Yeah, I liked the way the fans kept chanting "Shut the F up" to Brandy. Dan Lambert still is probably my favorite voice in professional wrestling right now. He's always right. Everything he says is just like, whether you like it or not, he's just right about everything he says.
Yes, indeed. Right down to his comments about Miss Rhodes, but we won't repeat them. Moving along, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we had ourselves a really good tag match. Break this one down for us. It was the Knights of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, against your best friend Penta and his buddy Pac of the Death Triangle.
Yeah, like speaking of that stellar tag team division, I don't even think these two teams were on the stage when those guys were standing on stage that one time, and these are probably the two top teams that you can think of right now. We start off with of course Malachi Black's still selling the Buddy Murphy injury from about a year ago, and we got Pac. Who had gotten the blast in the face a few weeks prior, so he's selling his blindness. He starts the match with a blindfold on, doing his Bird Box impression. So he does a few flips and counters and moves, and then he peels it off and reveals that he can see. And then the match just picks up from there. I mean, I'm not going to go over every single move that they did, but I mean, you get these four in the ring. You got Brody King to be able to throw people around, and the other three that can just basically do anything in the world, especially Pac. So, you definitely go back and watch this match. This was match of the show to me. Like, I think this blows the MJF and CM Punk match out of the water. I would definitely go back and watch this anytime. And this is what AEW should be all about. It shouldn't be like Kenny Omega going 20 minutes with some scrub that's usually on Dark. It should be like two evenly matched teams going 20 minutes and having a hell of a match that you want to watch again, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, this one went about 10 and a half. I would gladly welcome this at the next pay-per-view in a rematch, even if it doesn't have to be the belts on the line. It doesn't even have to be the number one contendership for the tag titles on the line. Give me these two teams again and give them 20 minutes this time. I'm all about that.
Hell yeah.
So we had a backstage segment with Matt Hardy. He's upset Private Party failed the previous week to win the tag titles. He's looking for some kind of gold, though, so he's going to send Isaiah Cassidy after Sammy's TNT title on Rampage. Fast forward to that match. Even though Mark Quinn was not happy about Cassidy getting the spot, you get Sammy Guevara and Isaiah Cassidy. This one went about 9+ minutes. It was very entertaining because Cassidy can go. We know Guevara, even though he's a little slow at times, can really go. He gets him with the GTH for the 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Mark Quinn start to surround Sammy. And that little boy who works for Sting, Darby Allin, runs down and gets side by side with Sammy to kind of run off the AHFO, as they're now referred to. And once the danger's passed, Darby's standing there side by side with Sammy. He kind of looks at the two titles, one over each shoulder, and kind of pats him on his shoulder, pats him on the title, like, all right, I had your back there, but somewhere down the line, he might be going, he might want that title back around his waist. So to be continued between Darby and Sammy. We had a backstage segment again with QT Marshall. QT Marshall is tired of hearing people say, send Hook. So next week, he's sending one of his best students in Hook's direction. We didn't know at the time, but we would find out later in the week. Apparently, that man's name is Blake Lee. He's QT's top student at the factory, or whatever they call themselves now. So we got to pick this one because it's booked. Not a lot of suspense here, I imagine, but who do you got between Hook and Mr. Blake Lee?
I don't even know who Blake Lee is. He's the guy that was Blake something in NXT.
I'm gonna say no. I think this guy might be of Asian descent, not of Forgotten Brothers descent.
I got you.
It's Lee L.I.
Oh, okay. I got you. I'm gonna go with Hook either way. They've been forcing Hook down our throats.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm on board with you there. I don't, once again, I'm sure this is actually, I don't know what the game looks like, but I'm gonna guess he's on the smaller side because that will make him easier for Hook to throw around, and that just kind of makes sense as they continue to let Hook squash guys, even though he's 115 pounds with rocks in his pockets. Let's see. We had Nyla Rose defeating Ruby Soho in that match that came out of nowhere and apparently is going nowhere. I don't know if maybe they're going to send Nyla after Jade Cargill in a little heel-on-heel female action because I don't think Nyla's headed back towards Britt and the Women's World title. So no idea where that one's headed, but that's what you got. We had Adam Cole backstage on Dynamite just to remind us, just in case you forgot, that the week before was a lights out match. So he didn't technically lose. He's still technically undefeated, and he wants the respect he deserves for being one of the best in the business. And he's got a match coming up on Rampage, after which he's going to tell us exactly what he wants in terms of respect. Fast forward to Friday. Adam Cole takes on Evil Uno. Adam Cole wins it in about 2.5 minutes. I think they could have gotten more out of Uno because we've seen how good he is, how much better he's gotten since his debut. But a couple of super kicks followed by the boom knee strike, and Cole wins. It's more about the afterwards. He gets on the mic. He runs down the list of victims of his undefeated streak. not exactly a who's who, but, there are some other guys in there. He wants the respect that he deserves, and he says that it is a certainty. Now, he's going on telling us about how he's one of the best in the world and has been for a bunch of years. I thought maybe this was getting him headed towards Sami and the TNT title, since that's the face of the company title. He says it is a certainty, Adam Cole does, that he will be AEW World Champion at some point. John, how does that grip you?
I love hearing that because he's the best on the mic that they have, and he's right up there with Kenny, Daniel Bryan in the ring. He just doesn't have the size, but that doesn't matter to them in AEW. As long as you're not fat, you can't get a job with AEW if your BMI is too high. So, but you could be 5'3", 115 pounds like Hook, and you can get a push to the moon.
Yeah, sad but true. Yeah, I agree. Adam Cole. In terms of our Facebook friends, it's going to drive. It's going to drive a certain someone named DJ in our Facebook group absolutely insane to see him even mentioned in the world title picture. But I think he's so over. He's so good on the mic, like you said. At least getting him in that picture makes a lot of sense. And size-wise, he's not going to be dwarfed by Hangman, so it makes sense to happen while Hangman is your babyface champion. Whether or not he wears that title, I don't know, but certainly he's headed in that direction.
Hey, regarding the Facebook thing, you got to do what I did about a year ago and just block that BJ guy, and then you never have to hear his BS anymore. Because that dude has literally the worst opinions in wrestling fan history.
He keeps the conversation flowing, if you will, on some of those conversation threads.
Oh, yeah?
But he definitely has his favorites and least favorites.
Yeah, I'll open up one of the threads. It'll say it has 72 comments, and I can only see 20 of them because the rest of them are him.
Moving along, we have Jericho. He's still ticked off at Santana and Ortiz for being disrespectful and kind of keeping him out of the tag match the week before. He has called for an inner circle team meeting. We'll see that this week on Dynamite, I believe. Yes, it is on Dynamite. Trouble coming there. I guess Santana will probably at some point break off to go with Eddie Kingston, right back where they belong. They were a team together, probably all over the world, but definitely in TNA/Impact a while back. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Jade Cargill cut a promo on Rampage where she admits that everyone who's calling her green is absolutely correct. She is green like money, because she's 26-0, and all she wants to know is who's next on that bitch show. Also in the women's division, Chris Statlander was backstage with Tony Schiavone. She got laid out by Layla Hirsch in a steel chair. So this is clearly not over with. Serena Deeb, they had a vignette. She's, we know how great she is in the ring. Not sure who she's going after next, but we'll see what happens. Where's the other matchup? So here we go. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez are finally going to go head to head after they kind of picked at each other and interfered with each other's matches in the past. Well, we got about 7.5, almost 8 minutes of this match, and it was looking real good. And then Mercedes Martinez just reached underneath the ring, grabbed a lead pipe, and slammed Thunder Rosa in the face for the rarest of rares, the DQ in AEW. It was only the third in the company's history. It was the very first since the inception of Rampage. So I'm sure we're going to run this one back at some point down the line. I don't know what the point was of her blasting Thunder Rosa in the face with a pipe. Oh, God. So fast forward to the end of Rampage and the end of AEW for the week. We had Darks defending the FTW championship against Jay Lethal. This one, they went almost 13 minutes. It was a lot of fun, and it had probably one of the best endings we've seen in a while, where Jay Lethal did his handspring to come off for the lethal injection. He's up in the air, and Starks, not that Lethal's not a big guy, so I'm sure Starks could have got him up anyway. But they did a great transition of chain wrestling here to Jay Lethal doing a flip, catching him for a half a second, and right into his Rochambeau finish for the 1-2-3. And Starks retains the FTW title. It stays in Team Taz. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the last bit of business. That is Hangman Page in the ring for an interview with Tony Schiavone. Hangman was in a bad mood. He was looking for a fight. He's not waiting down the line. He wants a fight tonight. Jake Roberts, Dan Lambert, they come out. They start doing a little bit of talking. Well, Archer was with him, and Archer's not about the talking, so he got right in Hangman's face. The fists start flying pretty quickly. Archer choke slams Hangman onto the ring steps and eventually hits his blackout through the timekeeper's table. This is all leading up to the big moment of the week, Atlantic City, New Jersey, and a Texas death match somehow for the AEW World Championship between Hangman Adam Page and Lance Archer. Who do you got?
I would love to say Lance Archer wins this because he's been kind of treated like dog bleep for a while, except for that one win they gave him over Moxley for the Japanese United States Championship. He's been laying down to people, a little too much, and I think it'll probably end up happening again. Although I did hear that a certain Killer Cross might be in Atlantic City tomorrow. So if that's the case, maybe he could be the one that costs Hangman Page the title in some way.
Yeah, that would be real interesting. I saw that today too. I saw that Scarlett kind of let the cat out of the bag. She wasn't supposed to say anything, but hey, that's going to get. If you were on the fence and you're a WWE guy, that's definitely going to bring some eyeballs to that program.
I'm actually thinking of going down to Atlantic City tomorrow in hopes that it happens.
You know what? I was gonna ask you that because Atlantic City's not exact. It's a little bit more than a hop, skip, and a jump, but that'd be a hell of a thing to be there for. So
my mom lives only like 30 miles north of Atlantic City, so I could maybe plan something around that. Maybe stay at her place or something. Give my kid the day off of school the next day and bring him to the AEW. That'd be cool.
Awesome.
Tickets are only like $29 right now on the secondary market. So.
Oh, cool! Yeah, and it's in Boardwalk, the world famous Boardwalk Hall that basically looks like a big top tent when you're inside of it. Yeah, so that should be a hell of a show, and you're gonna get a world title. You're gonna get possibly the debut of a guy walking in from the Future Endeavors list. So yeah, that could be a hell of a show this week in Atlantic City. All right, that's gonna wrap us up for the week, I do believe. Let's
all right.
All right, let's get that up there. And ladies and gentlemen, the Primetime Rundown, powered by StreamYard with Joey Jerzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca, now airing at 7 p.m. on Friday nights. They take you through the world of sports right here on all the Eastern Observer platforms. For more information, please go to easternobserver.com. We've got a new show on this platform, our umbrella here. It's the Sunday Sauce. You might recognize Tyler Odell, our sheriff. Him and his partner, Andrew Mukaria, bring you the Sunday Sauce. That's everything you could ever ask for in the world of the NHL and all the league's happenings. Get saucy this Sunday afternoon with the Sunday Sauce right here on all your Eastern Observer platforms. our other buddy, Ryan Joy, get the graphic up there. There you go. He brings you the Body Slam Brigade newsletter. Over 5,000 subscribers receive this weekly column. Make sure you go to minutestobelltime.com to subscribe. It's the Body Slam Brigade by Ryan for you for free. And the Black Cats NYC, their album Free Cake. It's out and it's available everywhere you consume music. Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, Deezer, YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, and just about anywhere else you could possibly imagine. Get your copy of Free Cake and play loud. And Pro Wrestling Pick'em. This show is always sponsored by Pro Wrestling Pick'em, the internet leader in sports entertainment pick'em pools. Join us in the EWP public pool and play directly against us, or create a private pool with you and your friends. PWP.com. Play against your friends. Play against the universe. And join here next week with the return of, at the very least, Karl, to save you from hearing me babble on quite so much, with episode 93 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Next Tuesday again at 5 p.m. on all the same viewing platforms as you are currently consuming. John Smith and King Kong Bundy, you got anything else to tell us about the world of wrestling or life in general?
No, but now that you mentioned my King Kong Bundy here, I was looking into trying to get like the whole collection of these LJN figures. Used ones. I'm not looking for like in the packaging and all that stuff. There was about like 100 of these guys. I could have sworn they only had made a few dozen of them. But there's like 4 different Andre the Giants. Yeah, there's 4 different Andres. There's there was like 6 series from 84 to 88, I think, like that, or 89. However the math works out. And there's I looked at all the pictures of all of them and I couldn't believe it. I was like, all right, maybe I'll start collecting something different because it's going to take a long time to get a hold of all these guys. All I have left is this guy. I've got Hillbilly Jim and Hulk Hogan are on top of my toilet as toilet toys for my little kid. He sometimes takes them in the bathtub. And then I've got Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Corporal Kirshner at my mother's house that my son would use as tub toys whenever he would stay at her house when he was younger. So those are, and I have Junkyard Dog sitting around somewhere, but that's 6 out of over 100. So I guess I'm going to rethink my collection situation.
Wow, that is crazy. I had no idea there were that many, and I lived through that era. I can't believe I remember the same 6 over and over again that I would see all the time.
Exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for us. As we would do, Alexa Bliss, we love you. Larry Steve, always in our hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And as always, we wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Peace.
Deuces.